we're at the At One program. Johnny Adams starts talking about his son, Bodie. He's 5 years old. And Bodie's riding up and down the road, praising God, talking about the Holy Spirit's on him, and saying that he's saved. And Johnny's like, I just don't know if he is saved or he's just hearing me. And the Holy Spirit got on me and said, no, he's saved. Because at 5 years old, I had decided I hated God. Before I get too far in, I had called Johnny at the end of it and said, Johnny, he's telling the truth, he's saved. Because I can remember at 5, hating God. I was born in Jersey City, New Jersey. And I had an older brother, 1 year older than me, and he had leukemia. And we had moved from New Jersey to Douglas County, Georgia, to get away from one abusive father. He followed us down here, married my grandmother to torture my family. The whole time my brother's dying of leukemia. My mom marries another man that I can remember at 5 years old. My grandmother sneaking me off to see my father in a local hotel over here, Biblos Hotel. And I can remember at 5 years old being so furious and wanting to grab something, to stab this man, to hurt this man. I love to talk about my brother. One of my fondest memories, when he was, right before he died, we were going to some church, I don't remember. But the church had chipped in and bought him a go-kart. And he was too sick to ride it, and everybody was standing outside, and they had crunk it. And somebody was going to ride him around, and he was fussing because he wanted to drive it. And they were, no, you can't, because he was too weak. His hair just... His hair just fell out a week or two before that. I remember saying, he would just pull it out and put it in a bag. So he wanted to get on this go-kart. He's too sick. Everybody had the back turns, and I took off and jumped on it and hit the gas hard as I could, and made it about halfway around the house. And I did a backflip, put a go-kart up. It was probably the first car I ever stole, and one of my best memories. Shortly after that, he dies. And I didn't understand why God had took him. And as I'm sitting in the funeral at 5 years old, crying, the other man my mother had married had reached over and slapped me in the back of the head for crying at a funeral. And I wet my pants, and that started a whole another line of abuse and humiliation. He would make me wear diapers to school, and I was a tough kid, and I would retaliate. At night when they went to sleep, I would pee in the carpet. I killed all the flowers in the house. My mother had during this time, a sister was born. She was, I think, 18 months or 2 at the time, but we had She moved us to a friend's house for a few months, and then we come back. That problem's taken care of, but the damage was done by then. I had decided I hated God. I had decided that I hated all men, and this affected every relationship in my life from then on. And I believe at 5 years old, a demon attached itself to me, because I can remember for 6 years straight waking up in the middle of the night, and I can tell you what it looked like. I couldn't tell if it was a male or a female, but it had long hair, and it had a cloak, a gray cloak, and it would either be sitting by the bed, either needling or twiddling its thumbs, waiting. If it wasn't beside my bed, it was outside of my window. And when I got up and did stuff in the middle of the night, it would follow me from room to room, almost cheering me on. And then at 11 years old, I took my first drink of alcohol. And it no longer had to wait. It had a host. Because from then on, I started drinking every chance I could get. Started smoking weed at 13 and 14, crack cocaine, 16, 17. On the way to high school, I would stop and pick up every Friday an ounce of cocaine, a pound of weed from a biker. And I didn't have to do these things. I just did them. And God protected me through all this. 2 bad marriages, because I would never quit drinking. And when I drank a fifth of liquor at a time. And I smoked weed and cocaine and meth, and I had no boundaries. It was all the same to me. But I had a hole in my heart, and it was like I would never get high, or I would never get drunk. I was never satisfied with anything. But I was known for my strength. I was always a little bigger, a little faster, a lot stronger. And I used to compete strongman competitions, powerlifting competitions. And God had enough. And I think it was February 14th, 2011, I was rushed to the emergency room. I had a pin-sized hole in my large intestine. And they went in and immediate surgery, cut out a foot out of my intestine. And I had to wear a colonoscopy bag. And I would do this insane stuff. I would take a ace bandage and wrap it around my colostomy bag. And I probably got 15 fights in 6 months from one surgery to the next. And, you know, it wasn't God punishing me. He was trying to get me to slow down, because it was in that 6-month time that I racked up 30 years with a colonoscopy bag on me, because it was like, I knew it was God trying to slow me down, trying to stop me, trying to get me to wake up. And I rebelled against God. And I went to prison wide open. My 12-year-old daughter, I had talked to her on the phone. I had gotten a fight in Douglas County Jail over somebody putting something silly. And she had told me, "Dad, if you get another fight, I don't want to talk to you again." And you would think that would be enough. I had already missed all but maybe 3 years of her life at that time. My daughter's 21. I've been in prison over 15 years. That means only 6 years of her life. All the bad things I did, the worst was being a terrible father. Something I knew firsthand about, because I had had terrible fathers, and I was worse than any of them. missed Jade's baptism because of it. I'd sit at home, somebody recorded it live, and I'd cried for the whole time watching my daughter get baptized, knowing that it was my my past. But now I know it was the devil keeping me out of this church, because I knew this is where I was supposed to be. And I don't listen. A month later, I get in another fight and bust open my hernia surgery again. So a few months later, I'm on a lab table again at a hospital, a prison hospital, and I remember laying there, and it was like I was at a horror movie. Because they're just laying there. I'm in my urine, I'm in feces, I'm infected. And I can remember thinking, all right, God, I get it a little bit, I understand. You don't want me fighting no more. But while I'm in prison, my mom gets cancer. My stepfather, I call him my father, he gets cancer. And I'm in there, and my stepfather, he had beat cancer, but my mom's dying. And I think I had been down 4 or 5 years by then. And I had worked with a local gang and got in 4 ounces of meth and a pound of weed and cigarettes, and we had worked with this guard, but I had to connect, and the gang could get it in, they could offer protection. So we get it in, and everybody in the dorm is going crazy. One gang cuts this dude's finger off. Another dude's running from snakes, and there's no snakes in prison. And the whole dorm, the whole camp is just going insane. All this is going on, and my mom's dying of cancer. And God comes to me and says, I protected you this long, but I'm going to keep protecting you, but you're going to die a lonely old man in prison. And I had went in my cell and got out on my knees, and I cried God to take everything, take the addiction, to the drugs, to the hustle, everything. And he did. He took every bit of it. And to this day, it's 2014 days I've been meth clean and selling drugs, alcohol. I had actually quit drinking alcohol. You would think, oh, well, you're in prison. No, I could still get alcohol in there, but I didn't. But I had kept smoking weed and kept drinking, kept taking pills. But 2014, February 17th, I laid it all down. And today is, how cool is that, 2014 days? I just thought about that. How cool is that?